STEM with COG, Electrify Part 2. We know now that burning fossil fuels releases CO2 into the atmosphere, causing climate change. Having identified the problem, we can figure out how to fix it. One thing we need to do is electrify everything. Well, almost everything that transports, glows, heats, cools, or runs machines. But it will only work if our electricity comes from fossil fuel-free, alternative energy sources. In Part 1, we looked into CO2-free transportation and built a model of an electric vehicle, or EV, and a model of an electric motor to see how they work. By comparing the amount of CO2 produced by an electric car versus a gas-powered car, we saw that today an EV already produces less CO2 over the lifetime of a car. And EVs will really make a big impact on climate change when we're recharging their batteries with CO2-free electricity, like that made by wind and solar power. But wind and solar energy produce electricity intermittently, only when the sun shines or the wind blows. So, while they're generating electricity for our daily electricity needs, they also need to be storing energy in batteries or other backup systems for later use. That stored backup energy will take over and generate electricity during dark or windless times to keep our lights lit, our refrigerators running, our hospitals healing, and our factories working continuously. Hey, let's look in on COG as he hosts an episode of Shark Tank, the better backup and battery battle. That's the electrifying new TV show where energy storage entrepreneurs pitch their products to shark tycoons. These sharks can sense the electricity in the air, and they want to put their money where their mouths and razor-sharp teeth are. Look, COG has introduced the first entrepreneur.
I'm iron, and I say we need to ditch the cobalt and lithium-ion batteries and go iron. Did you know the lithium-ion batteries in our cell phones, computers, and electric cars are made with cobalt that is rare on Earth, expensive to mine, and subject to geopolitical tensions? But iron is found widely around the world. It's easier and cheaper to mine. Lithium iron phosphate batteries are already on sale now. Get in early on this ironclad winning opportunity.
Who's next, COG?
I'm sodium, and I say, hey, we should ditch that rare, expensive lithium, too. Go sodium! You already love me in table salt, sodium chloride. I'm widely available around the world and cheap. Sodium batteries are heavier than lithium batteries, but not too heavy. The Chinese are already using them in semi-electric cars. But heavy sodium batteries are really well suited for storing the large excesses of electricity generated at solar and wind farms. The future is very bright for sodium batteries.
Who's next, COG?
I'm water. People love me for my potential energy. Technically, I'm not a battery, but I sure can store energy. Just pump me uphill when you're making lots of excess electricity and demand is low. Then, when you need more electricity, just let me fall, so I can turn a turbine and generator to make electricity. Currently, most of our excess electricity is stored this way, and maps like this one from the Water Network show lots of potential sites to build on.
COG, which of these projects do you think the sharks will fund? Look, our sharks are throwing money at all of the projects. That's great because we need lots of solutions for our future needs. Hey, COG, what's up next week? Looks like electrifying pitches for sand batteries. They store heat. Flow batteries. Vats of liquid electrolytes. Green ammonia to transport green hydrogen fuel. Well, thanks, COG, for showing us some cool energy storage projects we're working on. But let's not forget constant, reliable electricity sources that generate electricity day and night, no matter the weather. Nuclear energy relies on a fission reaction to create heat to make steam that turns a turbine that spins a generator to make electricity. Hydropower uses the force of flowing water to turn a turbine that spins a generator. Flowing water can come from a dam, or the river in a run-of-the-river system, or ocean waves and tides. Geothermal energy already works well in Iceland, but it may become more widespread if we drill, frack to create cracks in bedrock, and then pump in water to make steam. Biomass is another constant energy source, but it isn't exactly CO2 free. When we burn biomass or fuels made with biomass, CO2 is released, but it's the CO2 that the plant took in through photosynthesis while it was growing. No ancient excess CO2 is contributing to climate change. And once we have enough alternative electricity, we can use it to separate out hydrogen fuel from water. That hydrogen can be used in fuel cells to generate electricity, or we can burn hydrogen to make heat. I'm not going to lie, we got a lot of work to do to transition away from fossil fuels and electrify. But think about this. In 1962, the United States decided to land a man on the moon. The deadline seemed impossible. Yet, in July of 1969, the U.S. landed astronauts on the moon and brought them back safely. We need that kind of focus and support to control climate change, and we can do it. But if we're going to electrify everything, we're going to need to electrify heating. And hey, we can do that too. That's what these middle school students in Oakland, California said. They researched heat pumps that use electricity to heat and cool buildings efficiently. After hearing the students' presentation, the board of Melrose Leadership Academy took the students' advice and installed a heat pump at their school. These kids are really making a difference. But remember, small actions count too. They inspire hope, which inspires more people to act, which inspires more hope, and so on. You can start by filling in a Venn diagram like this. What are you good at? What do you love? What is needed? What can you do to inspire action? Can you rap about the fossil fuels blues? Research clean energy or energy storage for a science fair project? Visualize a better future that uses CO2-free electricity and draw or paint a picture of it to inspire yourself and others. Write a thank you note to someone working to solve climate change, like the students at Melrose Leadership Academy or the solar mamas at the Barefoot College, an organization teaching mothers and grandmothers how to install solar panels in their small villages. Lots of progress is already being made as we generate more and more alternative electricity. Price tags for this electricity are plummeting, making them as cheap or cheaper than fossil fuels. So let's recap. We can electrify everything to combat climate change. Even now, EVs produce less CO2 over the lifetime of a car, but we need alternative energy sources. Everyone has a talent to contribute to the effort. In these extraordinary times, we know that burning fossil fuels causes climate change, and there's still time to do something about it. Whatever action you decide to take, stay tuned for STEM with Cog's next video to hear about another way we can curtail climate change when we talk about